Welcome back, baseball fans. It's Crabcakes and Baseball. I am Jerry Shank, and with me, as always, we have PBR Maryland Scouting Director Jamie Naill. Jamie, how's everything going?
Oh, it's going great, Jerry. Just another day in paradise.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. Well, let's get into this. We have a very big episode, got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we want to try to do it as quickly as possible. But first, I do want to make an announcement real quick for all of you who are listening. If you are aware or unaware, NCAA has recently made new recruiting rules for specifically towards baseball programs, Division One baseball programs. They've made a pretty big rule change, and we're going to break it down. For those of you who have experienced this in the winter, we do recruiting talks and seminars where we give out education, trying to, just inform people, give them more information on the entire recruiting process. With this new rule, um, we wanted to give more information out and try to help people through it so they can better understand it. Long story short, the rule is that a Division One school is not allowed to talk to a player before August 1st of their junior year. Now, there's a lot to go with it. We're going to explain it, kind of give players a better idea of kind of what to expect. We've been talking to a lot of coaches over the past week. It was made just a few days ago. This recording, which is on Sunday night right now, it was just a few days ago that rule came out. So we're going to do a Zoominar. Check your emails. We're going to send it out. We'll probably put a link up on Twitter as well. But want to have that. It's going to be a really good time. And honestly, it's just really for us to try to help you better understand what's going on and seeing how we can try to make it more beneficial for the player in the whole recruiting process. So stay tuned, keep an eye open for that. Um, but now let's get right into crab cakes and baseball. And we're going to start out with our Power 25, Jamie. We had a colossal, well, I call it colossal, but a big upset last week. The mighty have taken a step back. They missed a beat, and that is Sherwood. They lost to Blake this past week, so they have bumped down in the rankings. So we're going to go over our top 10 here. We've got a new number one, and that is Severna Park, who bumped up, did won 3 games last week. At number two, moving up from number five, is Catoctin. 2 big wins last week in the Power 25. Really good week for Catoctin again. They're showing that they've got a lot more depth than what we thought. So definitely keep an eye out for the Cougars. At number three, you got Northeast. Number four, Decatur. Number five is Sherwood. Number six, Urbana. Number seven, Broadneck. Number eight, Glenelg. Nine is Whitman. And at number 10 is Patuxent. And so that's your top 10. Be sure to visit prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. You can see our entire top 25, the Power 25 in Maryland. But you know, I've gave you the top 10. You get to see the viewers. You get to see the Power 25 right there on your screen. You get to see all of them. Jamie, I do want to take a minute and just throw this out to you because we're about halfway through the year. We're getting close to the halfway point. What's our? Give me some surprise teams for you right now that maybe are doing a little bit better. And obviously, I mentioned one that maybe you're going to talk about. But is there any team in particular that has been a surprise so far this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is Catoctin. Obviously, going into the season, we knew about the talent at the top with McManus being the two-way high school player that he is, one of the most dominant arms in the state. So we knew about him coming in. But Bryant Green, um, shortstop 2025, extremely impressive. I've seen him twice already this year, as well as Jacob Bell, another impressive sophomore. So those two up the middle are impressive. A lot to like on both sides of the ball. So Catoctin being 12-0, a little bit surprising, but obviously we knew about the talent on the team, but those two 25s are something special.
Yeah, and then another team I know we had talked about a little bit, and I want to throw it out to you again because we knew they were going to be pretty good, but the closer we got to the season, we're like, hey, this might be a pretty special team, and then we're starting to hear there's some more depth than even we thought, and that's North Hagerstown.
Yeah, North Hagerstown is definitely headlined by their pitching. Obviously, Max Stifler at the top there, and that's another bat as well, just like McManus. Steph was really swinging it this spring like he did last year. So North Hagerstown a little surprising as well at 9-1-1. I believe is the overall record. So North Hagerstown's another team that's kind of not sleeping through the spring and definitely beating some teams that we may not have thought that they would. But going into the spring, they're playing extremely well.
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. There's two surprise teams so far coming out of that Power 25. Again, make sure you go to prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. Check out our Power 25. Check out our private top 10 as well. Do a quick look right now. Number one, still maintaining the top spot is up Archbishop Spalding. At number two, you've got Loyola Blakefield. At three is Goretti out in Western Maryland. Number four, Georgetown Prep. Five, Good Counsel. Number six, John Carroll. Number seven, Calvert Hall. Number eight is Gilman. Number nine is DeMatha Catholic. And number 10 is Gerstel. Really good teams already. There's our private school top 10. Again, you'll be able to see that on our website, prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. So let's go on and highlight some bigger games next week. We've got some good matchups coming up this week, and the five matchups that we really have highlighted to be some good games. You've got Monday starting it off. You've got two 7-2 teams, both kind of at the cusp of the Power 25. Damascus just came in this week, but it's Damascus at Clarksburg on Monday. That should be a good matchup in Montgomery County. Another Montgomery County quality matchup is coming up the next day on Tuesday, and you're going to see Walter Johnson travel to Churchill and take on them at Churchill. Should be another good game. And why not? Let's just stay in Montgomery County again, because another big matchup for Walter Johnson. But this time they're going to play the host to Walt Whitman, and that's going to be on Thursday. Now you got two games also on Wednesday to really look out for. You've got Broadneck at Severna Park. That's a top 10 matchup within our rankings. And then also on Wednesday, out west, really sneaky good matchup here is North Hagerstown. They're going to Urbana. We're going to find out a lot about either one of those programs after this week. So it should be very fun. Jamie, is there any games? I know you're probably going to be attending a few of these games. Anyone in particular get you a little excited?
Definitely the Whitman Walter Johnson game on Thursday. Where I'm either gonna see Jay Wandell on Tuesday or on Thursday, and I'm gonna see Leo Simpson on either Tuesday or Thursday. So seeing those two arms from Walter Johnson, that's gonna be something special. I got to see Whitman last Friday against BCC. Extremely talented matchup there. So that Whitman Walter Johnson game, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right, well, that's going to move us on to our team of the week. And for this week, it is Patuxent. Um, First things first, I do want to say if you saw our Power 25 last week, we did have a little bit of an error with the schedule of Patuxent. We misread an area. We had their record incorrect last week. They're actually 10-0 on the season, and they had a 3-0 week this past week to move to 10-0. Three big wins. They defeated Calvert, Great Mills, and Chopticon. Two big wins being against Chopticon and Great Mills. So very good week for Patuxent. They're having another great season. Last year, their season came up just a little bit short in the state championship. Sorry to rub dirt on that wound. I'm sure they're still not happy about that one, but it's looking like a good season for Patuxent. So a lot of stuff to be excited about down in Southern Maryland. Honorable mention this week, Catoctin again, a big week, two wins against Power 25 teams, Liberty and Middletown. So a big week for them. And then also Whitman, some big wins for Whitman getting back on track. And it looks like it's going to be a nice stretch for them for the rest of the way. Now, let's look back some of the games from week four. I'm sorry, from last week. Obviously, the big one, we talked about it earlier, Blake beating Sherwood. Blake had a 7-1 lead. They really jumped on Sherwood early in the game that headed into the bottom of the fourth. Sherwood came back, got the score within one at 7-6, but Blake was able to pull it out. So huge win for Blake over Sherwood, who's taken just a small step back. I'm sure they're going to get right back on track It's a very good program there, so I'm sure they're going to get things right there. So maybe that's a good wake up call this early in the year. Catoctin beating Middletown, another big game, 3-2 win for Catoctin. Freshman Hunter Reed had to go ahead RBI single in the top of the seventh to get Catoctin's lead to seal that victory. Next one, Allegheny defeated Clear Spring, another battle of top 25 teams in our Power 25. Senior Griff Madden, the JMU commit, was pitching against Hudson Troball, brings back memories of last year's state championship semifinal, which was just a you bring your popcorn, sit down. It was a lot of fun. I know Jamie you really enjoyed that game, getting to see it last year, and it was another close one again where Allegheny wins 3-2. But I know I'm going to catch you off the spot, but I do want you to go back into the file and let's just replay just a little bit of how much fun that game was last year.
Yeah, yeah, that game was a lot of fun. It was very high intense, high octane talent on both sides. Griff Madden against Troball, and it looked like it was about the same matchup this year. So obviously, both of those arms are extremely talented. I wasn't able to get out there, but Allegheny pulling off that 3-2 win, that's huge for this year.
Yeah, and so Allegheny gets a little bit of payback. You know, they lost. It was a close game last year. Madden, again, he's JMU commit. And then Troball for Clear Spring, he's an ODU commit. Now, moving on, two more games that we do want to talk about from last week. BCC defeated Walter Johnson. It was 2-2 in the top of the seventh when sophomore Trent Lopez, big RBI single for BCC to give them a 3-2 lead, which they held on to. And then the last one, Whitman defeats BCC. Whitman with a 4-2 victory. Sammy Berman and Mitchell Wang, two hits. Lion Gardner was 4 2/3 with 9 Ks. Wells Twining came out of the pen, 2 1/3, gave up one hit with 3 Ks. So really good victory for Whitman against a always difficult team in Montgomery County, and that's BCC, no doubt about it. So let's continue forward, and we're going to our MIAA minute. Just want to recap a little bit of last week in the MIAA. It was a big 6-4 victory for John Carroll over Calvert Hall. So starting to see Patriots start to get on the right track a little bit. Again, it was early. They played a lot of games early, so that was a nice win early for the Patriots. Gilman, three big wins last week. Defeated Curley, St. Mary's, and then a non-conference opponent, Chen Academy. So they went 3-0 on the week. So really nice week for the Greyhounds. And then Archbishop Spalding, kind of some really close ball games last week. Close win over Mount St. Joe's, who's starting to play some really good baseball lately. They defeated John Carroll last week. It was a 1-1 week for them. Starting to play a little bit better. They might be a team to keep an eye on. They might be turning around a little bit. But then Spalding also defeated Virginia DC Power 25 ranked St. Albans with a 1-0 victory. Really good ball game there against a really quality opponent. So, Spalding is playing a really good schedule, and that's one thing I just want to bring up again. Their out of conference schedule has been extremely difficult. They're doing it. They're playing really well. So kudos to them um, for doing that and for how the season's going so far for the Cavs. And then let's take a minute to highlight the MIAA B conference. Gerstel Academy, two big wins in conference. They remain undefeated. They defeated Glenelg County and Pilati last week. So two nice wins for Gerstel. Looks like they are kind of starting to separate themselves from the pack. Now that I said that, I've screwed everybody, so apologies. So enough of me talking and giving recaps. Let's get Jamie, let's get into the down and dirty here, and let's talk about some players. You saw a lot of players last week. We've got, what do we got here? We got five players that I want to highlight in particular. Let's start it off and let's go back out west to Catoctin. You got to see Catoctin defeat Liberty. It was a pretty convincing victory, but there's a 23 lefty that you got to see, Peyton Costello, that did pretty well.
Yeah, ultra competitor. I absolutely love Peyton. I love watching him compete. I love watching him throw on the bump. Obviously undersized, and we've known that for a little bit, but he definitely doesn't pitch like it. It was a tough Liberty squad. Liberty's played extremely well out there in Carroll County. Went 6 innings, gave up no runs, struck out nine. So Costello is one to watch. Like I said, he's a ton of fun. Ultra competitor out there, really attacks hitters. So that's a lefty out of Catoctin. Obviously, with McManus, that's a strong 1-2 punch for the Cougars.
Excellent. And you know what? Let's stay with Catoctin and let's go back. I know we've talked about these two a lot. They've got a really intriguing underclassman middle infield at Catoctin. Let's start it off. I want you to tell me a little bit more about Jacob Bell.
Yeah, so Jacob Bell, he's a physical middle infielder. He's a second baseman for Catoctin. Bryant Green plays shortstop, and I'll talk about him in a second. And I know we talked about these two, I believe either last week or a couple weeks ago. But it's two special, uncommitted 2025s. They can really pick it up the middle. They swing it. Bryant Green's a lefty. He could go to all fields. Jacob Bell, pull side tendencies. He showed that against Liberty as well, but he also hit a base hit into right center. So he's showing that gap to gap strength. Bryant Green, like I said, he can hit to all fields. He's a high contact guy. But Jacob Bell and Bryant Green, they're very special, and those are two guys that you need to circle, especially this spring, next summer, and then obviously throughout their high school career as well.
Yes, so definitely two guys to keep an eye on. It looks like something special is a brewing up there out in Western Maryland. Now, two more players that we want to talk about, and let's make sure we get it in. Um, Lion Gardner, we've always been a fan of Lion. Senior year continues to get better, was up to 93. The breaking ball's always been impressive, but Jamie, how did you enjoy his performance?
Yeah, I mean, and I think you nailed it right on the head. Gardner just keeps getting better. The slider has always been one of the top in the state, but I'll tell you what, on Friday that thing was pretty devastating. He was up to like 2750, 2800 RPM. Fastball up to 93. We haven't seen that before. He's been, high 80s, maybe punching 91, 92, but he was up to 93. He held velo very well. Same thing as always, attacks hitters. He's an ultra competitor, so that's another 2023 that we can update the heat sheet on. I think that's our fourth 93 that I've seen this spring. So a ton of talent throughout Maryland, and Gardner can finally lead that heat sheet now.
Challenge to everybody else. Let's beat it. All right, and then the last one, again, let's stay at Whitman. Oh, I did forget to mention Gardner is a Holy Cross commit. Great pickup up in the Northeast. Quality program up there. Back to Whitman. Uncommitted. We got a sophomore. Wells Twining. Looks like he is on the up.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the frame. I love how the arm works. He mixes pitches. He's got a fastball, curveball, slider. He was up to 89, and that's another arm that we've seen in the mid 80s. He really ramped up. He came out of the pen in that game to kind of close it down. That's a guy, and I talked to him after the game, and it was funny. He was talking to himself out on the bump. He was talking to the ball. He was talking to the batter. He was talking to pretty much everybody. So that's another, huge competitor. Like I said, I really like the frame. I like how the arsenal works. That fastball up to 89 as a sophomore is extremely impressive. So that's a guy to circle. He's not going to be uncommitted for very long. So that's a guy that these college coaches really need to get on.
Yeah, so that's going to do it again. Great scout blog again. Jamie, always on the road, always getting out and getting to see players. So a lot of good information coming out again today for a really hectic week. A lot of stuff going on, so there was a lot to talk about this week. Final notice: make sure everybody be on the lookout. Our regional rankings are going to be coming out. We've had a lot of shakeup and stirring around, so make sure you're seeing that. It should come out during the middle of the week on a national scale for the Atlantic coast. And again, make sure you're checking your email, check out Twitter. We are going to be doing our Zoominar on the new recruiting rules and try to give some clarity into what I'm sure is a lot of confusion right now. And really, what does this mean? It's a pretty big change, but all in all, out of all the college coaches that I've spoke with, they really think it's good for the game. So that's the bottom line. We're going to get as much information as we can. We're going to translate that and get it out to you. So make sure you're checking out the email. Get ready for that Zoom hour. Again, it's going to be next Sunday night. Um, so again, for Jamie Nail, I am Jerry Shank. It's Crabcakes and Baseball. It's what PBR Maryland does. Thanks for joining.